So 3 commercial ships just got hammered by unknown projectiles, one right in the Straits of Hormuz, the others in the Persian Gulf. One of them is burning right now. A Thai bulk carrier is the one that's burning that we're seeing the images of. Japanese container ship has been struck. Marshall Islands bulk tanker has been tagged as well. This screams Iranian IRGC payback for the non-stop pounding that they've been getting from the US military. And this is coming as a massive warning from the administration in the US, saying that if Iran strikes commercial shipping and energy in the Straits, they'll be hit 20 times harder than before. Also on Truth Social, President Trump posted, if for any reason mines were placed and they are not removed forthwith, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. Also, Trump posted on Truth Social, I am pleased to report that within the last few hours, we have hit and completely destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying boats and/or ships, with more to follow. So obviously the Navy in Iran being completely decimated, 50 plus ships being hit, but now there's a lot of talk of the mines and the Straits of Hormuz. Obviously Iran is trying to shut down that strait as much as they can. And then this is actually an F-16 in Dubai taking out a Shahed drone. The Shahed drone looks to be going for some sort of civilian target, and the F-16 rolls in behind it, looks to launch an AIM-9 and strikes it down. This is just showing how wild it's getting in the Persian Gulf, with Iran taking the gloves off. But we're talking about direct asymmetric hits that Iran wants to choke the global oil shipping off right now. They want to completely close that, and they've declared the strait closed. But here's the massive win for American air power. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth called yesterday the most intense day of strikes inside Iran. March 10th, the highest numbers of fighters, highest numbers of bombers, and precision intel assets unleashed on different targets, dropping 5,500 targets now in 10 days. So stay to the very end of the video, because we're going to break down how this blockade attempt from Iran is likely going to turn into a smoking graveyard of their own boats, but it is causing a little bit of a headache in the Straits of Hormuz. And then let's dive to X and get the latest and breaking updates on what's happening to these ships in the Straits right now. So here's the Straits of Hormuz. These are the ships that are actually transiting it right now. You can see a few turning their transponders off and braving those waters, but with 3 being struck in and near the Straits of Hormuz right now. This is a 21 nautical mile waterway, a choke point, if you will, for the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, to try to do their bidding. And their goal is to cause chaos and shut down the world's economy at this point and cause enough pain for the US to back off. This is one of the ships that is said to have been hit by a projectile with a fire on the ship. And then this is just coming in from US Central Command. This is Admiral Cooper. Let's have a listen to some of the latest and breaking updates. This just came out 1 hour ago.
Eliminating Iran's ability to project power against Americans and against its neighbors. Every day, we're striking hard at Iranian ballistic missile and drones. To date, we have struck more than 5,500 targets inside Iran, including more than 60 ships, using a variety of precision weapon systems. Just yesterday, we had strike waves nearly every hour from different locations and directions going into Iran. We also took out the last of 4 Soleimani-class warships. That's an entire class of Iranian ships now out of the fight. I'd characterize our strikes as being unpredictable, dynamic, and decisive. Since the first 24 hours of this campaign, Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks have dropped drastically. But it's worth pointing out that Iranian forces continue to deliberately target innocent civilians in Gulf countries while hiding behind their own people as they launch attacks from highly populated cities in Iran. Of course, forces executing Operation Epic Fury aren't just defending against Iranian threats. We are methodically dismantling them by hitting Iranian missiles and drones, as we also strike their defense industrial base. Just last night, our bomber force hit a large ballistic missile manufacturing facility, as an example. So it's not just about what's shooting at us today, it's also about eliminating the threat in the future. Now, let me show you a few of the results from the tremendous efforts by America's joint force. Here, you see an Iranian Jamaran-class warship, a large patrol ship, a drone smuggling vessel, and 4 other surface combatants docked at Chabahar port in the Gulf of Oman the day before we launched Operation Epic Fury. Here's the same pier 4 days later, all ships taken out of action. This Bayandar class surface ship was hit and rolled on its side. Here's another example. Here you see two Iranian surface combatants docked at an Iranian naval base near the Strait of Hormuz, just hours into the campaign. And here's what they looked like 3 days later, engulfed in flames after we struck them with a precision weapon. For years, the Iranian regime has threatened commercial shipping and U.S. forces in international waters. Our mission is to end their ability to project power and harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. From the air, we've achieved a concentration of air power with back-to-back waves of advanced fighters, creating constant pressure on the enemy every single day.
So this is some of the most recent strike footage coming out showing those ballistic missile systems being targeted, the launchers, the missiles themselves, some mobile launchers as well being struck, which is very interesting. I mean, you got to have some real cojones at this point to be driving one of these ballistic missile trucks. I mean, it's not going to go well for you, and that's pretty obvious. And then we've got fighters, a lot of images of fighters coming out of CENTCOM. My opinion, a lot of that is likely targeting the Iranian Navy's fast attack vessels, those smaller boats that can be laden with explosives, some of them even potentially being remote control. So you got to control those. If we're going to control the Straits of Hormuz, you got to have fighters up and airborne just like this. F-22s, F-18s, F-35s, F-16s. Have as many of those up there as possible, just doing what we saw that F-16 do in Dubai, which is strike down any of the Shahed drones going in trying to target any ships. And then check this out. This is pretty awesome, showing the Iranian Navy being completely crushed. Some of the bigger ships, so again, 60 bigger ships. But remember, guys, they've got hundreds probably of these small fast attack boats like this one right here. Boom. That one just went bye-bye. But probably hundreds of those fast attack boats. Maybe some of those can lay mines. So you've really got to start striking down those because they're like little ants. Literally, they just try to swarm in and they want to ram ships. They want to just cause chaos in the Straits of Hormuz. So this will be a little bit lengthier of a campaign than I think most people thought to take out these fast attack craft and continuously do it and basically create that little dome over top of the Straits of Hormuz to try to protect commercial shipping from these smaller guerrilla style warfare fast attack craft. And then this is the Soleimani ship being struck and targeted. Nice to see this thing going down. Wow, some secondary explosions there. So likely anti-ship missiles on that actual ship itself. There's a fast attack sub from Iran being struck. So again, potentially mine-laying vessels, submarines. This is showing how the gloves are off against the Iranian Navy. So as we can see, Iran is taking the gloves off, trying to close the straits. And Iran's playbook is classic asymmetric warfare. IRGC fast boats, drones, missiles, proxy strikes like the Houthis and Hezbollah. But as we've seen, CENTCOM is having fighters up ahead over the Straits of Hormuz pretty much 24/7. And this is something that all the fighter pilots are trained for. Strafe these fast boats, target any of these Shahed drones or other drones that Iran is trying to launch, and keep them from striking commercial shipping. But Iran is probably launching as many as they possibly can right now. They probably see the writing on the wall that things are coming to a close for the regime itself, and they only have the ability to threaten these ships. Their whole goal is cause chaos and try to get the U.S. to back off. But I think this is going to backfire. Likely the U.S. is now going to up the ante on striking Iran's leadership and military, because the U.S. just told Iran yesterday, don't strike any ships in the Straits of Hormuz. But Iran's like, well, we're in war and we know we're probably done, so we're just going to try to eviscerate any of these ships that we possibly can. And their rhetoric is full defiance, even more than what we've seen before. The president of Iran said this is survival against Zionist American imperialism. The IRGC commander said that he would take it to the heart, and he threatened the heart of the enemy forces. The foreign ministry is calling the blockade of Iran economic terrorism. The supreme leader, the new one, is saying that they will not bow and that they will have victory through faith. Hasn't worked out too good for you so far, man, but good luck with that. That new senior IRGC advisor line, the Straits of Hormuz, is closed, is what they said. And they said if anyone tries to pass, the heroes of the Revolutionary Guards and their regular Navy will set those ships ablaze. So they have tagged one of the ships. They think that they could tag hundreds of ships, but they've gotten one in the actual Straits of Hormuz, and it looks like two in the actual Persian Gulf itself. But this shows you this is their focus. They're going down with the ship. The IRGC is taking the gloves off, and they're doing everything they can, likely in their last few weeks, to try to cause chaos and get the US to back off. But these three ships being hit fits the pattern of Iran. Drones, potentially even fast boats, even remote controlled boats is something they are said to have had. But Iran is effectively calling it closed. So what I would expect to see is the US Navy doubling down, hammering different sites along the Iranian coast, having fighters up and airborne every single moment to strafe or launch AIM-9s at the different drones that are going to try to fly in and target these different boats. It looks like hundreds of vessels are anchored outside of the Straits of Hormuz, possibly waiting it out. It looks like 2.5 billion in Iranian bank assets have been frozen. But the edge here for the US is unreal, as we see from the video from CENTCOM. Those B-1s, those B-52s just yesterday dropping hundreds of different sites, heavy bombers using precision JDAMs, joint direct attack munitions, even using more standoff weapons. So as the bombers are flying in, they release their standoff weapons, and then they go in and they release their stand-in weapons, which are their JDAMs. The tactics here are multi-axis strike, overwhelming air defenses first, then hitting high-value targets, missile sites, the naval yards that we saw struck, industrial nodes, crews executing flawlessly. Refined intel also means minimal collateral damage where possible, trying to minimize that as much as possible. It'd be great if it could be zero, but in warfare, that is extremely hard to minimize civilian casualties, especially when the IRGC is shielding themselves with civilians, putting their headquarters near hospitals, near schools. We destroyed 16 mine-laying ships with surgical precision. They're now done, probably from Tomahawks or air-launched standoff from those bombers themselves. Israeli allies have intercepted drones, hitting the drone production hard. This is American air power dominance, superior sensors, stealth, precision, and sheer volume, overwhelming anything that Iran tries to throw up. But their asymmetric stuff isn't nothing. They're going to keep throwing that at us until the very last moment. And this leads us right into the 4D chess strategic analysis section, because we've talked about this so many times if you've been watching the channel for a while. Iran trying to close the Straits of Hormuz. The IRGC now saying that it's closed and that they're going to burn any ship that goes through. And they got one, which again, that is a strategic win for them. Other commercial vessels are going to see that, and they might elect to not go through the Straits of Hormuz. So at this point, the US has been smashing Iranian targets. What I would expect to see is, again, this being ramped up even more, like the administration and the US said. If Iran hits commercial shipping, they're not going to be hit 20 times harder. So I would expect the leadership to be hit harder. I would expect basically a carpet bombing campaign along the coast or any areas, any of these austere hidden locations like that video that we saw. I would expect carpet bombing from B-52s, B-1s, going in and just taking out any places where there could be drones. And ISR will be huge here, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance for you acronym lovers. So having a global hawk up ahead, seeing where these drones are launching, multiple global hawks, just looking at the swaths of Iran, determining exactly where these drone hideouts are, or even these anti-ship hideouts are, that will help turn the tide in the Straits of Hormuz by just massively bombing these different areas that could be launching at the ships. And then also having high-powered microwave technology with the different naval assets right near the Straits of Hormuz to use that technology, to use laser technology with directed energy weapons to strike down anything that could be going up against commercial shipping, essentially creating a mini Iron Dome over the Straits of Hormuz. When the US is able to do that, should happen here very soon, they will make that key strait navigatable, and they'll take the pressure off. I mean, those ship captains, they just want to sit there and sip their coffee and enjoy bringing their $15 billion of oil to the next port. They don't want to worry about Iranian drones coming through and hitting them. So with a massive dome, we'll call it the Blue Dome, over top of the Straits of Hormuz, protecting that 21-mile waterway from drones, ballistic missiles, mine-laying vessels, now you really have the ability to get ships to continue to transit those straits. And then the Lamprey undersea leech from Lockheed. I think that is huge. I'll probably do a full video on that, but having dozens of those, hundreds of those underneath the Straits of Hormuz, protecting commercial shipping, dialing in and zeroing in on any mines that Iran may have laid or any of their mine-laying boats that are left, and especially their fast attack craft. Because remember, those things are like little ants. They're everywhere, and Iran wants that to be chaos, so they're going to hide those boats, they're going to laden them with explosives, and they're going to try to continue to cause chaos. So again, some sort of a blue dome over the straits, teamed up with the lamprey to protect commercial shipping, I think could be a huge move that would likely open the straits and keep it open for good, even as Iran is going to ramp up their proxy attacks. And this could lead to even more possibility of regime fracture, because they're going to be hit so hard now after closing these straits. Just watch. Over the next few days, we're likely going to see things ramp up. Who knows? Top IRGC leadership might be struck even harder, and then the midliners in the IRGC might crack under the pressure. I mean, a snowball chance in hell that the top members of the IRGC crack, because again, they are bought in to the rhetoric from the actual new Ayatollah. But again, this is going to be a hard fought battle. So what do you think happens in the Straits of Hormuz over the next few days? Do you think it fully opens? Do you think the chaos that Iran can cause will make commercial shipping just grind to a halt? Let me know in the comments below. Go and follow me on X, follow me on Instagram. I'm posting there pretty much every day. And then click the link in the description to become a member of the Max Ready Room and see me do lives basically every single day at this point with all this breaking news. And I give priority replies to the members of the Max Ready Room. So click that link in the description, become a member, and then watch this next video that pops up right here. That's pretty much the best compliment you can give me. We'll see you on this next video. This is Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, signing off.